Hi, how's it going? I need your help. I'm going to be designing something, but I'm not sure which one of them I'm actually going to use. So at the end of the video, I'm going to run a little poll, and you get to pick which one next week I'll be coding up. If you're new here, my name is Kevin, and here at my channel we learn how to make the web and how to make it look good with weekly tips, tricks, and tutorials. And this week's about the looking good side of things, where I'm going to be designing some stuff up. But as I said, I need you to vote on which one I'll actually be coding, because next week we'll be doing that half of it. I will be using Adobe XD in this one for the design of it, so you get to see how I would use that to make the design for these 3 sign-up forms. It's just like sort of like a thing where you'd be putting in your email address and all of that stuff. I really am looking forward to seeing which one you pick. There's one that I would pick. I know which one I want to do, but it's not me deciding. There's also one I really don't want to do. So if you want to be, I make it pretty clear at the end which one I don't really like. So if you want to be mean, you could always pick that one. But hopefully you agree with me on the one that looks the best. And the second one's not too far off. I just think the third one wouldn't be as interesting to code, but it's not my choice, it's your choice. So let's get into those designs. And again, at the end of the video, there'll be a little card pop-up thing where you can choose which one you think I should be coding. So let's go and take a look at those. All right, so here we are in Adobe XD, and this is sort of what I want to be making, but making it look a lot better. And this is kind of confusing now because it looks like one box. So we need to fix things up a little bit. But this is sort of the more or less like my base that I'm going to work off, and we're going to come up with a few different versions, and you guys are going to vote on the one that we code. The finished version will be fully mobile responsive, but we're not going to design it that way now. We're just going to worry about that when we get to the coding part of everything. So I think what I actually need here is like a separator too. So like, where's my line? If we separate everything a little bit, even, it's still one sort of big box. This, I don't want to have a border on it. And it'd be kind of cool if we could round the corners, right? What if it was like that and then this would need, is it alt? It is. Except that's going to be too much. Maybe I can create a clip. There we go. Something like that. Could be kind of cool. It looks like it's one piece now. But we're just iterating now. I want to iterate like really fast until I sort of come across a few things that I like. If I just do... How did that work though? If I do that, that's weird. Anyway, let's go back to squares. The problem with this is the separation on these is a little weird. And I wish I remember where I saw the example that I'm thinking of, because I don't want to rip them off exactly, but something like that where it keeps it more as one big box. And then let's turn off the border. Maybe put a really light background color, so it's like a bit more noticeable. I like placeholders that are all caps: name, email. If those are all, then we're new sign up. Something like that. Already I'm liking a little bit better. But we like to iterate, so I'm Alt or Option dragging there to make copies of stuff, because iteration is the best way. Don't like just keep changing the one thing you're working on, because you might want to go back. Because already here, like I'm looking there and I go, oh, now that I've taken the border off, this line is way too harsh. So either I could change the color or just drop the opacity on that, something like that. So like a little subtle separation there is perfect. I'm not sold on this color, but I'm not too worried about that. Let's see if we can find a better font. I don't have a ton of great fonts installed, and Adobe has done so many amazing things in their other software for choosing fonts, and they don't have it in XD, and it drives me nuts. I don't know if I have Roboto installed right now. Robot? I do. Maybe Roboto would look a little better. I only have regular. That stinks. I don't want to start having to install PT Sans. Isn't too bad, actually. It's kind of condensed-y. I'm going to go with the narrow bold, and let's put a little bit of spacing on those letters because it's way too tight. There we go. That'd be a bit better. These are placeholders, so like because I'm on a bolder font, the color is really showing through. I know we're going to like super low contrast right now, but I'm going to put some area labels on those to give it, because we're not going to have real labels, but I think an area label or something like that would work out well. And actually, I'm pretty happy with that. That looks pretty decent, like compared to where we started. So let's move that up to there and then come back. And we're going to start running out of room soon. But already, like, we know we're not going to use those two. Whoops. Let's just move that all the way up. Move these out of the way. All right. So what if we also added a drop shadow on that? But I'm thinking I'm really into super subtle drop shadows these days. So actually, the color on it's pretty good. But 0 there and like a big big blur. And even the color's too much. It's too much. I want like super subtle. The problem now is it just looks blurry. So either the fill would have to be darker. That's kind of in. I'm going to stick with one of these. I've never really done a sign up form like this. So we'll do one where it's actually inversed. Let's just copy this to give myself a bit less work and switch this over to white. I don't think I'm going to go with that, but it's kind of weird, eh? I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud, like either you have to go darker or I go back up to like white just so our drop shadow actually shows up. Because if we can't see the drop shadow, it's kind of useless. I kind of like that. I'm digging, like it helps add visual interest, and I'm even thinking like, what if we clicked here and that drop shadow intensified for this whole thing? I know we want to keep focus. I'm definitely gonna want to change my focus state. You know what? Let's just say that's my normal, and then I know we could do like artboards with XD and show interaction, but I'm gonna do it all here. So say we have that as my normal, and then when we gain focus, we could literally just come on and boost the shadow a little bit. Like say something like that's out of focus, in focus, and then maybe we could even like change our placeholders somehow just to show or add maybe like a gradient. That'd be kind of cool if like when you click on name, can I do this? Fill. Okay, let's keep that one. And then say I click in the name field and we got a gradient. So my fill, I'm gonna go with this like blue color. Let's go linear gradient the other way. Something like that, but instead of this color, I'm thinking we have my blue, but then like super low opacity. Whoops. Oh yeah, that makes sense actually. We do that, and then this is gonna have to come down in opacity too. It's kind of weird actually. Did I not have my shadows on that? I don't see a shadow on here. Is that weird? Here, there's definitely a shadow here. Just boost that thing. Oh, because I have transparency going on. We don't really see the shadow. That's so funny. Okay. What my fill then here would be pure white, and then here I guess I'd have to keep that as solid, but just go to like a really light blue, but probably a little, I don't know. I'm not so sure I like it. Because I was thinking like say you did that, and then when someone clicks in the email field, it's switching over. And this is why I like doing things with XD or any design software. Come on, grab. Is because usually we can move a little faster. What am I doing? I'm trying to do things like I'm in another software. I just need to move it here. You know, if we did something like that, then when you click on the email, but I think it's more awkward than anything else. I say don't delete stuff, but I'm deleting that. I don't like it. Maybe it could just be as simple as, I don't even know. Can you change placeholder? Like say someone clicks on that, could I actually have the fill? I think you could, right? I'm not even sure. Could you do that? And like the name and then the same, I'm not sure. That'd be cool if we can do that. We're gonna see. But I'm not sold on this yet. Let's go with this version. These, I'm going to move these off because those are like focus states. I'm not too worried. I still want to focus more on the main design. What if we went back to like this pill type thing? Because I sort of like that. The name, well, it's first name. Say name, if we did first, whatever. I don't know if you can. What if this actually, if we're doing it like in a circle like that, what if the sign up button was inside like that? It's kind of common, right? Ish. To see patterns like that. I feel like if I'm going to do that though, my drop shadow needs to be I'm actually going to take this color for my drop shadow. Now it's way too much. So we can drop that opacity way down. And maybe go to a darker blue, but I'm just thinking like we're using blue. So like even though like instead of going just black, like even if there's a hint to that blue, it can be nice and like make things fit a little bit, but drop that down. What if we did something like that? That's not too bad, actually. That's kind of fun. That's getting more interesting a little bit. A bit harder to do, though. I honestly don't know how I would code that. This one, I think I could figure out just... my shortcut's not working for spacebar, which happens sometimes. I don't know why. Can I change? I can't change tools. Rectangle. There we go. Yeah. So this one, like, I'm pretty sure I could code that right now. This... I've never done something like that. So if you want to challenge me, we can go with that one. I sort of like it, actually. I like this idea of like one big box, though. I think that's really cool. Okay. We have one, we have two. We need something else. We need something else. And I'm going with this blue, like this color could, you know, let's just change it for fun. I shouldn't be changing the color at this point because, no, we're going to keep them all blue just because you're going to choose based on like merit of design and not because you like the color green or purple or blue or something more. All right, and what are we going to do here? Let's go and take a look. What else could we do? This really, you know, what if... Okay, I'm going to take this one. What if they were different, like bubbles instead? I know I was saying like one big box, but what if we went with some bubbles, but in like an interesting way, like this. Name, email. Like something like that could be super interesting, right? I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. The only thing the focus, I'm not sure what I'd do with the focus state on this because they're overlapping like that. So I'd want to shrink that a little bit. Definitely have to be first name instead of just name because we're not going to have as much room. I guess I can group this and then like would I want like they're layering, so like technically if I have a blur, this could be like a 30. This could then come in with the blur of 50 because it's a little higher. But if it's a little higher, really, wouldn't it make more sense if it was a little more, because it's closer to us, right? But then it's kind of, well, 1 second, I have to round. It's not rounding the corners properly, so let's just, I feel like there's so much more emphasis on this, but I sort of like where it's going. Is there a way I could do that? What if there's no shadow? No, we need the shadow. Maybe it's just it's too strong. No, not that opacity. I'm getting into really subtleties here, and again, email could come this way a bit now, which means we could move everything over that way a bit more just to give us more room for our name. And do I want sign up? I sort of like the sign up floating out, but again, now this would sort of require a shadow. There we go, shadow. 0, 0. Let's just. Oh, how much is this one again? 50? I mean, they could all be the same. I'm just thinking, like, if it is layered the way I'm thinking of layering it, it's not. I don't even see it. What's my opacity? 12%. What's my opacity on this one? 24 even, and I still barely see it. It's getting so blurry. It's too much almost. I don't think that really works so well. Whatever, even if it's something like that, it's kind of cool. I'm trying to be a bit too literal with my layering maybe. If we went back down to having this a bit like the same size and overlapping. It makes email look whiter just because there's the shadow here. So like it's just as white here as it is here, but this just looks so much more white. It's kind of distracting in a way. I think if we did that, we'd definitely want some overlap on that, like that. What if this was a bit like more... Could we like... What if it... Like, what if they were really... I'm going to group all this just so we can actually play around with it a bit more. Like, say, this is going to be a pain. Don't choose this one, guys. I don't know if I'm going to even make this an option. Because... the usability of that would be terrible. I'm just thinking, like, you're here, and then you push tab or whatever, and then this. But imagine if... You'd have to make it stick out enough, but then all of a sudden they'd switch places. Could be fun. But the logistics and the usability of something like that, I think would be terrible. And I don't want to just do like, it's so boring. I'm still preferring these. I sort of like this overlap. Maybe, or what about this? Actually. And then my sign up could just be like, that's kind of awkward too though. No, don't like that. I like this one more. Okay, I'm sort of settled. I'm gonna shrink that back down. Okay, so I'm giving you guys some options here. Let's make a new artboard. And from these, I want you to vote. I want you to tell me which one to code. So there's this one, which is fun and simple enough, but simple in like an elegant way. I think it'd be nice and fun to code that up. There's a lot we could learn from doing this and making it responsive because they'd have to stack, so we'd have to play around with it a little bit. Definitely Flexbox is going to be coming into this world. This one, it's sort of the same idea, a little bit more complex because we need the round corners there aren't complex, but I'm just not sure about how I'd get my button to be there. Probably not as hard as I'm thinking. Even just... It's probably a lot easier than I'm thinking. I'm just wondering about like matching the roundness there, but it's probably a lot easier than I'm just not... Once I start playing with the code, maybe it would work. And I definitely think like most complicated of all would be one of those two. Like to me, this would make more... Like, there we go. Visually and like on a layering way, I would prefer... I think I like this one just because the layering does make more sense if the email's a bit fatter. I don't really like this one now. The more I look at it, it's a bit more cumbersome. So actually, okay, I'm going to leave it here. If you guys really want, I'll do this one. But I'm leaning towards one of those two. I like simplicity a bit more. It's not, if you're looking if you're voting just on like what would be the most interesting to code, don't necessarily vote for this one because I think these two are actually more interesting because it's the like this one big box that's going to act, and you know what, we're eliminating... I'm jumping all over the place, but I'm going to leave this one. But I do actually think these two would be more interesting to code than this one. If you really love this layout and everybody's voting for this one, I'll do it. Because I said I'll give you guys 3 options. So I'll give you guys 3 options. I might change this one a little bit. I don't know. I'd have to play around. I guess the most interesting thing here was how would it work on mobile. But this, like, just the idea of having a single box that becomes a sign-up form instead of having this weird, like, double box, because this is just an input with round quarters on it and a drop shadow. Whereas, like, here, what are the different ways we could tackle this? We can use focus within to deal with the big shadow on that. So I'm leaning my vote to one of these two, but if you're really in love with this, I guess I could do it. So not that I'm impartial, I should be completely impartial and just let you decide. But so there we have it. I would love your comments down below to let me know which one of those you would like to see me design, but please use the card system thing. So just push the little eye that I think is on that side. So click on the little eye, choose which one of when I say eye, it's not this eye, like the letter I think. I think the cards are little eyes, info. So click on that. There'll be a choice. You can vote for A, B, or C. Choose the one you think would be the coolest one to see me coding up. So thank you. I'm assuming you voted. Thank you very much for voting. I hope that you picked the one I picked, but if not, that's cool too. Before I let you go, I just want to mention I do have a newsletter. So a lot of people apparently don't know I have a newsletter, but I've said that a few times now. So maybe you all know I have a newsletter now. But if you don't know or you haven't signed up for it, in there, I'm sort of experimenting a bit with it now, but I post about the article because on Sundays I put up an article. So on the Sunday morning, I also send out my newsletter telling you about my article that I've just put up. But I'm also going to mention my latest YouTube video, and I'm going to try and include some things that aren't included anywhere else. So it's just like newsletter related things, more like linking off to stuff, or I don't know. I'm going to experiment and play around with that a little bit, but to add a little bit of value to the newsletter. Also follow me on social networks. I'm on Twitter and Instagram, so there's links to those in the description as well. I'm not super active on Instagram, but I'm getting more active, and I'm always on Twitter. So you can check me out on those. And there's one more thing. There's the community. If you haven't yet joined us in the community, it's a Discord server where we just hang out and have a good time and answer each other's questions and help each other be better developers. So come and join us over there. It's free. It's super easy to sign up. There's really no excuse. So come and join us there. That I think is everything now. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. A big thank you to my patrons for helping support everything I do here. I've just hit a milestone on Patreon where I've passed my last goal. So now I'm actually going to start getting my videos professionally closed captioned. I just have to figure out all the steps on getting that done, but soon that will be put into practice. So thank you so much to all my patrons for that. And they also got me this, or they didn't. Nobody specifically got me this, but it was through the support on Patreon that I was able to afford this mic, which I think is going to really improve this overall audio quality. So thank you so much to all my supporters, including all the new supporters there. Also, thank you to all the subs, just all you guys who have been subscribing lately. There's a whole bunch of tons of new people. And of course, thank you to all the people that have been here for a long time as well. I appreciate all of you guys. A big thank you to Lauren, as well as John and Fernando, for sort of being my supporters of awesome. They hit they're at or above that level, which to me is amazing because I honestly never thought anyone would be there. So thank you very much for that. And speaking of awesome, until next time, don't forget to make your corner of the internet just a little bit more awesome.